which other maps are going to be available here for this free game series. God damn it. Slight miscommunication with the admin when we had a bunch of maps to load. Okay. No worries. We're on Blackpink for map number 1. We'll find out the rest of the maps. Okay, we'll figure it out after this. Alright, let's go into this then. And introduce our first players of the day again. Sorry for a slight delay getting started today, guys. Some player issues and so on. But we are now in game and we're ready to get things rolling true and proper. Thank you for your patience. And again, let's get excited about some new maps. Again, it can be really cool to see new maps in action. And of course, these maps could be used in future ladder map pools. And that's what we're here to test, to see if they're worthy of the ladder. To the top right hand side, we started off with our pink Zerg player. I think you guys know who he is. It's soO. And he's going up against the red Protoss player to the lower left-hand side from Root Gaming. It's herO. So soO versus herO here, game number 1 of this best of 3. And again, we're on Blackpink. And so instead of talking a lot about early build orders, I am going to be talking a lot about the specific maps, you know, kind of in the first few minutes. So again, I mean, you look at Blackpink in the main, it's fairly standard. Maybe a bit of a small main, you could argue. I mean, the Zerg basically has creep all over it right from the get-go. And that might become an issue for Protoss/Terran in terms of just having space to build all of their production. And that's something that, you know, has been a thing before. And actually, I remember another AVEX map, I think it was Invader, was like a super small main base where you could barely fit like 2 base worth of production on it. It was something that was changed a little bit later on in a later version of the map. And also worth mentioning that these maps, they are available to go through like an iteration phase, which is basically after the tournament. Map makers or the finalists maps are able to be changed a little bit and resubmitted before going into a public vote, just to kind of, again, make changes against problems that may show up in the early stages. You can see here the move down to the natural is fairly standard. Again, a fairly small natural as well, not a lot of space down here. The hatchery kind of set back as well. All the kind of mineral lines are kind of set back a little bit. None of them are really exposed here. And kind of as we mentioned before, the kind of expected third base kind of coming down towards the south side. I think expanding outwards, because it's low ground, etc., it's a little bit more tough to hold this position. And up here you do have this collapsible tower you can use. A lot of choke points actually on this map. It's very choky, a lot and very narrow pathways, and that obviously is something which Protoss players will generally enjoy using against the Zerg throughout the course of the game. As we do see an Oracle on the way out. soO going to be, well, under pressure fairly early on here. Now, soO hasn't seen this Stargate. It isn't in a normal position. And it's not really kind of one of those things which you necessarily need to scout. herO just hiding it to make sure, you know, to again maybe kind of catch soO a bit off guard. And also a little bit proxied means that it will hit a bit faster. And maybe, just maybe, herO can get a little bit more damage done here just a little bit sooner in the game, because, you know, he might come in just a few seconds before spores, safety spores, etc. are ready. This adept goes down. Nice little pick off there by soO, as we do see this Oracle popping out. And it is going to move in towards the upper right-hand side, in towards the main to try and do a little bit more damage. Again, Ling's coming towards the bottom left. Single adept still in this wall off right here. And again, the Zerg's just getting picked away at, poked away at, and all the rest of it. Oracle on the way up. Again, just continue to set up as we do see Queen and an Spore Crawler there. Going to poke away at that Oracle. And Oracle getting kind of low. A couple of drones killed. Nothing too crazy though. And again, soO deflecting fairly easily. And this is really starting to head into what we would expect to be kind of a macro game. Obviously, in one of the macro sectioned maps, expecting the macro game isn't exactly out of the ordinary or anything. Twilight Counselor's dropping as well from Bumblebee. herO. I keep saying Bumblebee. I did this the other day. I was playing in the WardiTV Weekly, and because his name is Bumblebee, sometimes as a caster, I always kind of look down and I'm like, oh, Bumble, you know, I just look at the name to kind of quickly get it in my head or something. It's a confusing one sometimes when they use it as, you know, use a different name for their name and put their actual name in their tag. You know, it's actually better if it's a barcode, right? Because if you look down and you know, see a barcode, you don't automatically be like, ah, it's this guy. You know, you just say, you think for a split second more, and then you actually come out with their name, right? So, anyways, early game here on Blackpink is just 3 bases apiece. Going into Glaive's follow-up here, we'll see what herO can do with that. And again, I guess we'll see how the 4th base comes down as well, where we see continued expansions through the south, or, you know, up and down on the map. Or we'll see maybe move forward towards this base here, which again is a bit kind of more open and exposed as the Oracles come back in for 3 more drone kills. But there's kind of, again, narrow ramps down. You know, it's more open in its position, but actually, I mean, there's a lot of kind of walls around it. This map actually feels very kind of closed in, I suppose. Very closed in, you know, there's line of sight blockers, ramps all over. And again, not a lot of space to work with in a lot of places. And I think that's the sort of map Protoss players are really going to love. Being able to move around and just sit in a lot of different choke points. We'll see how herO plays this out. Melee upgrade on the way as soO is looking to just play that Ling Bane Hydra. It does feel like actually being able to attack with Ling Bane Hydra will be very difficult just because, again, those choke points are around. And with so many choke points on the map, again, you know, as I say, how do you get those flanks? How do you get those positions to really abuse the mobility and, you know, the ability of your army to just split up and attack in multiple places? Obviously, it's not meant to be a map where aggression is going to be meant to be super easy, but you got to wonder how the Ling Bane Hydra will work out. Robot facility on the way up, as we do see a few queens here, just going to be poking away at those adepts, and as some Balins continue to morph on in, they're going to come in just in time to start forcing these adepts to start splitting up. Although actually the Banes are going back because I think he thinks they're still going to shade, but actually they cancelled the shade a while ago. So these Banes taking a while to come in the right direction. Here we go. We're actually going to see these adepts. Oh, that's so nice. 2 adepts just in each little gap in the mineral line here, and that just really minimizes the damage he's going to take from those Banes as, well, herO is continuing to do a lot here, and as soO gets up another way, well, a few more Hydras, the first Hydras of the game, they're going to be very exposed on their own, and they're going to be popping out all over the place, and herO's already doing crazy damage with this, as adepts continue to shade around. 17 workers going down here, and 18 workers continue to be picked away at. This is really bad for soO. This is damage which is very difficult to recover from. As we see these Hydras continue to fight, another adept or 2 being picked off, the final adept dropping, but 25 workers killed. And soO just wasn't really prepared with enough units in time. And I have to say, this fight over here, where initially the Banes ran in the wrong direction, that was a problem. Then they came back over, and the adept here, the adept there, while the rest of the adepts just sat there, 2 adepts just basically soaked every single Bane. And herO knows this is going his way. He knows he doesn't really have to focus on teching further behind this. He's just going to keep making adepts and bringing them across the map, and that's exactly what we're seeing. herO goes with a whole bunch more adepts warping in once again. I'm just going to be seeing the Teamer picking off one of these, again picked off at the front. So one group teamer goes down, and well, we'll see if soO's going to have enough to hold on. Obviously he's got Lings and Hydras and a few Banes morphing, but I think the issue is as soon as these, you know, Lings go down, the Hydras are very exposed. If the Banes don't get very good connections, well, soO's just going to be in trouble. Now that was actually a good set of connections on this set of adepts, and he does actually get a lot of them very low, but now the Warpism in the main base, the sentry comes in to hit the force field down, and soO just was not in a position to really deal with that, as we'll see this Queen going down. Again, Hydra's continuing to fight here. The Adept's going to pull away another force field on the ramp, and well, now the entire main base mineral line in trouble as well. soO is really starting to be in just a bit too much trouble right now, and herO looking as though he's going to take the first game of the map tournament, as we're going to be seeing just more force fields. And at the very least here, the entire main base goes down unless herO messes up and at some point misses a force field, which shouldn't really happen. That force field is a little bit later, but again, he can deal with 1 or 2 units at a time. As soO's supply is plummeting. Well, another couple of Banes will force... Actually, well, he's actually going to go after sentries here, which he gets a couple of them low, but... I mean, as more units swap in, there's less likely that the rest of the sentries are going to get hit. And so many Zealots, Adepts coming through. Charge isn't in the game just yet. As we'll see a few of these units loading up. Looks as though herO's going to start moving out just in plenty of time to make sure he doesn't lose out on too much. Again, getting out of the sentries and the prism, those are the sort of things you want to bring back later. As he cancels the shade on his Adepts, going to keep them in the main as the main base does fall. Kind of inevitability is now going to be seen a warp in at the 4th phase 2. And herO, again, going to be picking away at soO here in the early stages of the day. As we're just going to be seeing the Zards continue to be working away on this hatchery. So again, hatchery being worked away at. Lings and Hydras still moving around too to see what else they can get up to. Broodlings do pop, and Ziglins as they come in and get us around, they're going to be able to continue working their way through these Zealots. So the Zealots do go down, and obviously soO cleans up, but how do you ever really expect to do much on a counterattack at this point? Again, there's a lot of choke points. It's going to be difficult for you to get a good position to push through in the first place. You've got a slight army supply advantage. You do have +2 against no upgrades, but Charge is about to finish. Storm is about to finish. All of these things which herO will need to help fight against this, they're starting to come into play. And we see the Lings and Hydras are going to come around the south and see what else they want to do. And here we go. I mean, the Storm is really close to finishing here. A second or 2 away, and that will make a massive difference in this. A Storm on the Hydras and Lings, and those units, they're already low health units. they're going to go down so quickly from there. And as another storm comes down, there's others too. soO's going to run out of units, and with no more units, it will be GG for our first game of this best, being 1-0 up in this best of 3. We actually got news that Abiogenesis will be our third map, guys, and that's actually going to be from the new section of maps, so that'll be an interesting one. Actually, sorry, not from the new section, from the rush section. I'm actually interested to see that one in play, because it's one which I think could play quite interestingly, despite being a rush map. As we do have to the top left-hand side, our pink Zerg player, it is soO. And he is going to be going up against the red Protoss player in the bottom right-hand side of the map. Give it up, guys, if you're going to be cheering on Root Gaming's herO. Setting up here in the early stages, herO already starting to come across the map and scout, as you can see in his first-person perspective. In the picture-in-picture, just a very standard sort of setup here initially, and already begin to look to wall at the very, very front, just to see, you know, if he can take his bases safely. So let's have a look around the map. Let's have a look around the map. And, well, again, the main base doesn't feel massive, but it's definitely bigger than the last one. The natural's also, again, very small here, basically because of the way the minerals are. The minerals are a bit more exposed to this map to kind of drop play, and I feel as though this might be one of those maps where a couple of tanks here could reach over and maybe be a bit of a frustration. But yeah, they're very kind of an exposed natural. If the natural is like this way around, it'd give you a bit more space up here. Instead, again, it's going to be kind of clumped up. We didn't really see much of that being an issue on Blackpink. We never really saw it become, you know, have a chance to become an issue. There's something worth keeping in mind, kind of the space you have to work with within your bases and so on. As we do see probe from herO, just again moving around, obviously wants to check around for the third, and it is going to be this kind of pocket expansion taken here by soO, rather than the base up top. So hatch cast built into a fairly fast third hatchery. Yeah, and this base up here, just not taken just yet. I imagine if you take this base, then you can move across to this base fairly easily as the fourth base, or you can go up here as well. Again, it's one of these things where when there's multiple expansion paths available, it'll be interesting over time and overseen in multiple games to see which players kind of expand in which way and to see which expansion patterns kind of hold up as being the most consistent. Twilight Council still on the way down in the main base here. You're going to see the Nexus building on the natural too. And just this probe of herO still moving around and having a little bit of a look to see what else is going on. Are we playing one map from every category this match? So, basically this match we will see a macro map, a standard map, and a rush map. For future series, it may be different, because what we're going to be doing, we've got a system in place where basically the two maps that got vetoed out of the set of maps available for this series will be put into a map pool later for different series, and they'll be joined by other maps that also weren't played yet. So it's kind of going to depend. The main priority is finding a way to be able to give the players a little bit of choice in which maps are played, while also getting to see every single map throughout the course of the day. It's going to be seeing the setup here from herO. Going to be that Twilight into Robo and Dark Shrine. A very standard Archon drop play for herO to set up with in the early stages of game number 2. Queen going to inject over here. And again, drones just mining away on these minerals. Lair on the way up as well in the main base. Just going to be seeing soO setting up in towards that. And again, a couple more overlords on the way out. And again, very standard stuff really so far. Lair and Roach Run is a great way to set up against the Dark Shrine. You can get Roaches up against the Archons. They're going to trade much better than the Zerglings do. You get the Lair up, you got that mobile detection, and so the initial DTs don't become anywhere near as much of a threat as they sometimes can be if they just manage to just cancel, just kill that Spore before units get in position or something along those lines. A few Zerglings on the way out, and again a couple more gates just building up here from herO. Over in the main for now, obviously as they finish, the Dark Shrine's finishing too, and the Prism is starting to move across the map. It's actually going to be double Prism, double Archon drops here from herO, something which will allow him to be very aggressive in multiple locations, and going to start trying to show off his multitasking a little bit. So here we're going into this, we're going to see a Hydrogen already on the way down from soO now, making just a few Lings right now, Spores on the way up, and an Overseer as well. But let's see what these initial DTs can do as they do approach the upper left. A good amount of Zerglings to defend this here. There shouldn't really be any damage dealt. Queen's going to come in and help to push that Prism back. forcing the DTs to just pull away fairly early on. Prism actually taking quite a lot of damage, already losing a lot of its shields here initially. We'll see how maybe that affects as it goes into the main base now. He's going to start chasing another queen, but Ling's coming in too. He's actually going to try and warp something else in, but that might be a mistake, and he does rather decide now to just pick up instead. So this Prism backing away through the left, and at the same time this Prism setting up in the center, warping in a few Zealots. The DTs will want to morph into Archons now, and this Warp Prism going to move over to the right-hand side. So obviously a little bit of an interesting scenario here, as we do have the two Prisms going to be creating some interesting little kind of, well, multi-pronged aggression basically, and we're going to watch both of it with that picture-in-picture in the bottom right to follow the Prism into the main as the Zealots go into the natural expansion. So the Zealots drop in towards the natural. They're already starting to pick away quite, well, actually not really at anything at all. And the Hydra's coming in. They're going to be able to start picking away at that Prism. It has to cancel and move away. Meanwhile, they're attacking the main base. The Archon's coming in here. They've been doing a pretty good job. The Prism is actually maybe in a bit of a tough position because it can't come out the left side because of the Spore Crawler. Couldn't go out the right because of the Hydras. And so he does lose an Archon, wasn't really able to back away as quickly as he would have liked to. So a little bit of a shame there for herO. And so at the same time, we're actually just going to be seeing this Prism just got picked off by a couple of Hydras over here. And that's actually a nice little shutdown. So both players with losses, you know, a couple of years being lost here and there for soO, but also getting rid of one of the Prisms. And this Prism as well is so low and so vulnerable that it doesn't look as though herO's going to try and push much further out. And this is what I love about maps. When you start to see players in different races, on different matchups, expanding in different ways. And we're seeing that right away here with the third base of herO coming out through the south side of the map rather than being taken as the pocket expansion, which is exactly what soO went for. Makes a little bit more sense because it is going to be much easier kind of one to wall off. You can position your army here and hold this ramp and sort of protect your natural and your third with a SimCity over on this side. Whereas if you expand over here, these rocks go down and suddenly you got to defend from this location, and potentially this location too. And that's obviously something that Zerg would love to have, as now we see both Warp Prisms going to actually end up joining together and seeing if they can just do a little bit more. Archon's going to drop on down, and Lings and Hydras are going to force the Prisms to actually lift up and move away again through the top side. It's still on the way up, and starting to see a fairly standard game from the Protoss. I mean, the build order initially was fairly standard too, and it's just transitioning into a game you would expect it to be. Charges up, +1s on the way, Immortals are on the way out. He will have to respond a bit differently to usual, and that's why he probably isn't going Temple Archives and Storm as quickly here, because he does not need it against the lack of Lingvein Hydra. It's going to be Roach Hydra Lurker, which Archons and Immortals are much more important, aka it's not as important to rush out the Storm, because the rushing out, you know, the Storm's really there to help deal with Banelings a lot of the time, not so much the Hydras, Roaches, and the Lurkers. Storm can definitely still help, it's just not really as essential as early on, I would say. We'll see if he invests into it right away with the Archives, or if he does just play Immortal Archon and the Zealots. Which, I mean, definitely works. It's definitely a composition you can get away with. So you can see the left-hand side, a whole bunch of Zealots coming on through. Zealot sentries, a couple of Immortals. Big push here, and at the same time, that Warp Prism is actually moving in towards the main base. So let's have a look at that on the picture-in-picture. While we keep a track of this main army trying to push through. He's actually going to find a few Morphin Lurkers. He'll be able to cancel one from the get-go, and the other four, well, they're going to have to start backing away here as that attack into the main starts to go down. Again, here the main army is just pressuring and looking for opportunities, while the real damage so far being done in the main base by the Prism, although now being forced to back away, and both armies will just back away here in the end from herO. So nothing really too much gained. It was a good defense by soO on multiple fronts here to minimize the damage taken in the early stages. And we see that +1 missile attack about to finish it up here from soO. So +1 missile attack about to finish. You're going to see a couple of Archons going to come in, picking off a couple of drones. Going to see some more Zealots warping in. They're going to start charging forwards. We actually see the Warp Prism is being picked off here. So Warp Prism going down. These units continue to march on forwards as you're going to see drones being pulled in. He hasn't killed off actually already, as we see Hydras continue to be picked away at as well. And, I mean, okay, fair enough. This, you know, he loses 8 drones, loses a few units, but he kills off the Warp Prism and that harassment. That's nice. There's another Warp Prism already over here, though, and obviously herO's not really going to let up anytime soon, but the bigger fight's over here. Some force fields being placed. A lot of the attacks right now from herO coming around the left side. The ramp up here is a little bit tough to push through because it will just lead into that Zerg concave. soO taking his 4th base up top, as we see herO maybe thinking about continuing to expand down the bottom left. That's why the Zerg has found himself in a position to attack into now, though. Does herO have enough right here? I'm not really too sure if he actually does have enough right here to fight this. The force field will trap that army in, but it feels like he needs more reinforcements. Meanwhile, them Zealots can start running in towards the natural expansion as well. Let's keep an eye out over here, because this is interesting, the fact he's just going to keep on force fielding, and he is going to start backing away, actually. So herO just backs away from this fight. Again, we talked about those Zealots, we showed them on the PIP, and with the kind of Zealots moving through, they're still around, they're still looking for damage. Another 9 workers of soO have already fallen. Now this Warp Prism dropping off Zealots here and moving in towards the main base as well. And just continue to do a whole bunch of extra damage. Queen being dropped, I mean, more drones going down. soO falling apart a little bit as herO really is just harassing his socks off at the moment. 20 workers killed. And this Spore Crawler going down will just enable the Prism to be a little bit safer, to pick up a few Zealots and back away safely. Doesn't have to go through, doesn't have to take too much damage, doesn't have to get low and risk being just tagged by the Hydras to be taken down. And just play a little bit of a safer setup there, as we're going to see another pylon, a cannon as well. And again, herO going to take the 4th base to the bottom left-hand side. Again, interesting to see the different expansion patterns. I'm not really sure about the far bottom left base. It is actually very safe, though. The only way to attack into it is here, or through this kind of passageway here, which you have to come through the center, and then all the way along. So it's a good chance the Protoss will catch you on that direction. Storm now finishes the Hydra count increased. Obviously, the Storm a nice way to lower the health of those Hydras, and while maybe not needing to be rushed out as much as against Ling Bane Hydra, still going to be fairly useful against the Massa Hydra play. And I think maybe even just a response from herO to keep that, to go into Storm when he sees just how many Hydras are being made. Originally, they looked to be maybe Roaches and Hydras with some Lurkers. But with this many Hydras, I mean, it really is mostly just Hydras. 6 Lurkers. There's maybe not as many as we thought this could have been. Look on the way. Going to see 2 Archons at the front. Immortals moving forwards as well. Revelation dropping down. Storm going to drop on top of a lot of those Hydras as well. So good damage being done here in the early stages of the fight. herO just picking, poking, and prodding, looking for opportunities. And meanwhile, as he backs away, there's some Zealots up top side, which are going to get turned away as well. Good positioning by soO to minimize any potential damage right there. The army's going to push up this side now as well. herO changing his directions up. He's got an Oracle out. He's also got Observers to help him get rid of this creep spread, which is important too. Obviously, you want to get rid of that creep, and you want to see what the Zerg can see and how the Zerg can react to you. With a Lurker on top of this ramp, we're not going to be seeing herO really able to push up into that position. A Fleet Beacon now on the way as well, and extra Stargates. And herO is going to start making his late game transition here into that Sky Toss. As we're just going to be seeing the Hydras, while Storm going down to pick away a few of them already. You're going to see some drones are dropping as well, and some more Storms dropping down too. A lot of drones starting to fall here. And as we're going to be seeing the Archon going down, a few Broodlings will move forwards with this. And again, you're going to see the Archon also getting picked away. And Hydras continue to push on in from the northern side. And again, another couple of Storms do drop. And, well, herO, I think he's traded pretty well. He's gotten rid of that 4th base. He's been able to kind of trade nicely, and now he's just going to be able to start backing away. Or will he be able to back away? He is actually out of Storms right here, as the Lurkers are going to drop on top. If you say that he's out of Storms, he's actually had one more. Does he have one more again? He has it in a few seconds. But these units are actually way out of position, and so soO going to take advantage of that, and he's going to be able to grab these. And so herO, out of energy on sentries, out of energy on High Templar. Oh, one final Storm is actually pretty deadly. Gets a lot of these Hydras low. Maybe low enough to justify these Immortals being able to continue trading. That's actually a huge change around. That final Storm in the end actually made quite the difference. As you're going to see, well, Ling's coming in. These Immortals will die. It's a nice tech reset for soO, but he lost a 4th base to get this, and that's not cheap. You can't just go around throwing away bases every time you want to end up trading with your opponent's army. If he didn't have that Storm in the final set of Hydras and those last Immortals went down just a little bit earlier, it might have just looked a little bit better for soO here. It might have looked as though he found a fight which was just justifiable and good enough to maybe then push across, but as it stands, took him a little bit too long. I think that's an issue as well. As he sets up here, herO actually goes into the main base, the 3rd base, which is already low on health. It falls to some Zealots warping in, and so soO having to respond to that, while also trying to make this push work at the front. He's got a lot of Lurkers again, a couple of High Templar in the back going down already. Storm at the front as well, coming on down here. And we're just going to be seeing the push continuing in. soO knows that this is all or nothing. So we may as well look at the map in-game rather than an image of it elsewhere. This is Abiogenesis, and spawning in the top left-hand side, it's our blue Protoss player herO from Root Gaming, and the bottom right, our pink Zerg soO. This map by -0. as it comes in from the rush category. First of all, just before we get into anything else, thank you very much, Maynard, with the 9-1 for Resard. Resard. Is that what Maynard Resub is? A Resard? I don't even know where I'm going anymore. This is dangerous territories. Thank you very much for the 9 months. What should we name our baby? Dude, I tell you what, you can pick. Be my guest. You can choose. Whatever you want. Honestly, whatever you want. A rush map here, so let's have a look at it. herO opening 2 gates, by the way, living up to the idea of it being a rush map. Obviously, the idea is it's very short rush distance from natural to natural. But what I think I love about this map is when I looked at it, it's a small map. It's a close rush, natural to natural. But if you survive past the earlier game, the transition to later game becomes fairly simple, with a fairly, easy to hold third base choice, either up or down. And there's a little bit of a choice there as well. Again, it's nice. Like, I really like it. Like, it's going to encourage rush play while also giving you the chance to kind of have a bit of a different mid game than, well, the rush didn't work and now we're just playing this kind of scrappy, still rushing at 10 minutes sort of game. Like, you can definitely transition out of this. I mean, the size of the map will obviously always affect the entirety of the game. Let's see how it goes. Again, like later game, you take the third and all of a sudden fourth base becomes available, fifth base too, and they're all very far set back, which they need to be. Because if you have any maps that are like, say you had a base here, it's like barely a screen width away from the opponent's natural. So you really would need, you really do need to have like the bases all set back. So I really do like the way it's set up, this map. It was one of my favorites out of the rush category. I'm excited to see some games played on it. So we're going to be seeing this third hatch already coming down from soO to the south side. Again, I expect the expansion to be taken. This one, I said you could expand up before. I mean, it's just not really going to happen. There's so much more space here to attack into. It's much further forwards than soO. But you just have already a few extra lings on the way up to help deal with these adepts. And the queens as well, he's already doing good damage. The adepts actually getting a little bit cornered in to the point where they're not going to get caught and surrounded and die, but they are going to be forced to shade elsewhere. Queen actually going to have to start pulling back as they go down towards the third base. And I think going to go back the other way and see what else they can do. You think we should name our baby Reese Saab? I like that. I get it. I get it. Alright. Reese Saab is officially today 1 day old. 0 days old. 1 day old. He's born today. 16th September. I'll never forget. Alright, going to be seeing 4 depths now. Threatening to shade on through, but plenty of lings made. Actually going to see a few overlords on the way out from soO to get out of a little bit of a supply block he found himself in here for the last few moments. So just getting out of that. And again, these few adepts from herO. Positioning out the front. Going to try and do a little bit more damage again. More lings on the way out. herO obviously with a much later natural expansion compared to usual with this. And because of that, the worker count is still even despite all of these Zerglings that have been made from soO to help defend in the early stages. 8 more of them on the way out right now. There's going to be seeing those adepts still looking to apply pressure, and here we go, the Ling's going to run on in, and they are going to get us around 2 adepts fully surrounded. That's great, because the damage output means they just die so much faster. Now 4 adepts do move away, but obviously a little bit, a little bit late to save the ones that have already lost. And there's another full surround on one of these adepts, and soO really is starting to shut this down, and herO. He's always loved herO, kind of his adept pressure and his ability to do a lot with this, and, this right now is just seeing kind of a nicer way to kind of set up against it. A couple draws going down there. As we do see herO moving around in the main base with an Oracle. It was a proxied Stargate to the left-hand side. This is something which soO wasn't immediately ready for necessarily, but he responds quickly with the Queen from the natural coming to the main. And right away he's going to be able to only take 4 workers of damage, which isn't bad for the proxied Stargate. I mean, it doesn't seem like you give up a lot, but it does mean the Stargate can get picked off. The pylon will go down. And, that means that you just aren't going to be able to rebuild extra Oracles later without reinvesting into the Stargate. And again, while that doesn't maybe seem like a big deal right now, it is a slight amount of punishment. And again, from a proxy Oracle, you expect maybe to see a few more workers than just the 4 being killed. Gets the Queen now on the third base too, the Spore just finishing there. So hero's still racking up some damage. There's that Resonating Glaive still coming up here from herO 2. Now, Dropper Lord is going to drop a few lings into the main where there's a pylon, but there's no Mothership Core. Completely bypassed here by herO. Does have adepts he can use to come in and defend this, but needs to start pulling them into position, right? 2 workers going down now, a third of, well, a low health worker there actually maybe could have been picked off too. These lings going to back away. I'm surprised they're going to try and loop around the left. I thought they might have gone back towards the Overlord. 2 more lings actually getting through the front though. At the same time, lings on the third base as well. herO going to have to cancel that, and soO is suddenly all over the shop. 6 workers killed. These lings get back into the Overlord. Only 3 lost in the main base. 2 lost in the natural. Third base killed. Third base cancelled. Pylon there killed. And that leads us into this position now where soO is, doing a little bit to kind of really slow herO down and to really put himself maybe the forefront of what's continuing to happen in this game. Things will come in. That's going to be another dead probe over here and a dead Pylon and Stargate as the Oracles loop around back into the main base to try and do a little bit more. Maybe they have this kind of side where the Spore Crawler isn't reached kind of right away. Oh, he dives quite far there, and that's going to be a dead Oracle. And herO again, a lot of little mistakes just happening here throughout the course of this. You'll see these lings just unloading to the top side. The Phoenix poking away at this Overlord, and it's getting very low, this Overlord, actually. And it's getting real low. As you're going to see, it actually getting picked off right there. More depths coming through the center of the map. Some more depths coming through the center, and again, a couple more Zerglings just up top, seeing what else is going down here. Melee upgrade coming through, an Extractor or 2 coming down on the third base. A little bit of Ling Bane to help defend against the Adepts as glaive attacks comes on forwards, and with the Queens here as well, these Adepts, they're just going to be forced backwards, and herO getting into a tough spot. I mean, he's out on extra gateways, his Temple Archives, his Warp Prism as well. He hasn't been able to get the third base up, not because I really think he couldn't, but obviously it got cancelled once, and he just hasn't really tried to again since then. Looks as though he'll go for it now, and you will be able to set that up, and we'll see. We'll see if he can hold it this time. Again, if you wall off in this sort of direction here, it may not be exactly where you want to wall completely, but there is ways to Sim City this to kind of make your life a lot easier as the Protoss defending from the Zerg that might be trying to push on in towards you. You'll see this Oracle from the right hand side. Obviously only one of those left, so has to be somewhat careful with it. We'll come in and just get 1 drone and 2. And Oracle goes down. I was going to say, sticking around a little bit too long again. And he gets punished for it the second time around. So, 2 Oracles lost now. And soO just sitting up at 57 works to the 51 probes. Everything so far has really been going in his favor. As you're going to see a couple of Archons just on the way up on the natural expansion. So one Archon finishes, the other pops up. And obviously here we go across the map for another wave of aggression basically. But the Zerglin sees the Warp Prism already coming across. So he's just spreading the lings out to just keep information for himself on the map. He knows the third is on the way. He's just going to put some lings on the 4th base already. This ling here obviously helps to see the Prism. And now we're going to see 2 Queens already on top of that Warp Prism. As the Archons do come in, Lings, Banes and Hiders will be a little slow to come over. Nice transfuses to keep them alive. And you're going to see the Queens once again working their way through the Prism. It won't go down, but it does get low. And sometimes, just enough to kind of shut down this aggression for just a little while. Lingbane Hydra are going to be the choice here. And again, it's another map where I kind of look at it, as, for Lingbane Hydra. And with the bases being so far set back, the biggest issue is the fact that the attacks can hit so quickly because of the small distance. Is that really an issue, though? Or is that just the way the map plays in general? Because obviously herO's been able to hit his attacks a lot earlier as well. But to kind of actually play the Lingbane Hydra, it's very one-dimensional to attack in here. You can try and come up here as well, but again, there's the positions to play with, I think, for the Protoss player to defend against this. But maybe herO's just a little bit too far behind from the earlier stages of this game. Archon's getting pushed away again, and as Bane Speed and +2 finishes, I really feel like soO might be looking to get across the map and to really do a bit more damage once again. And a couple of Archons just up ahead, and just going to be seeing a couple of Zealots, Immortals, and the High Templar moving around. Storm about to finish up, obviously going to be one of the major pods to help defend against this army composition that we're seeing from soO right here. Big difference to soO this game, no Lurk Den, of course. Opened very differently, never went missile upgrades, went straight to melee, didn't have to go into a Rotron or anything. I'm just going to see a few more Banelings morphing in over the left-hand side, and here we go. Actually going to see the Warp Prism with Zealots inside again, taking down right away. Well, soO is going to attack on in. There is, again, quite a bit of area and space to work with up here as the Zerg. But again, as the pros, you can Sim City here, you can use this ramp. I feel as though herO might be just attacking a little bit too far forwards. He's lost a lot already. More from those Archons in might just come a little bit too late, honestly, as some Bane's going to roll into that mineral line with +2 melee. They're going to one-shot those workers, and herO is not going to have much of an answer. GG, and soO does take a map back in this series.